I wanted to just have a quick catch up with you because I thought it was quite interesting that you're a mentor. So I was just wondering if you could tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're based, and how people might connect with you.
This year in particular, in fact, just August 31st, I completed my mainframe mentoring assignment, and I did a mainframe mentoring assignment with a gentleman that's in India. So I also learned very well how to be a 24-hour mentor, because I became very aware of the time. So sometimes I came to his 11 hour span, and then sometimes he would come to mine, and that was pretty good. But that was after we went through a lot of learning about each other. I have many years, many um, years of mainframe experience, all the sectors, even nonprofit, but also Wall Street. I've worked on a lot of teams for software companies and big companies, a couple of small companies, some startups, and I also have taken on all the roles: leadership, instructor, build a class. Even went to a couple of think tanks. Went to one in England and went to one in France. And the hardest thing about that is figuring out how to work the vending machine. So it's been big tech head, but I could not work. It was so funny going out in the hallway and having all my coins when I was in France, and someone had to finally come up and take the coins out of my hand and put it in and show me how to do it.
That's the most American answer I've ever heard to any question.
You gotta laugh at yourself. Yes.
How would people connect with you if they wanted to connect with a mentor?
Oh, the best place, LinkedIn. Go to
just
LinkedIn.
To reach out to you, yeah?
Right. It's go to my LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn and send me a message and tell me that you want to. You need to talk to me, or you want to know about something about what are the requirements, what does it take. There's several organizations that have formalized mentor-mentee programs. That's another thing. I also mentor with mentors in tech. I also mentor with TEALS. That's where and they'll take an experienced person, and we teach a class to mostly high school students. And so those are the best ways to connect to me. I have a website in development. Hadn't gotten back to it this summer, but stay tuned. I'm working on it. So LinkedIn is there. You can send a shout out.
Well, that's going to be really helpful. One of the common questions I always get asked is, how do I get started? How do I get into the mainframe? And it's always that how do I make the first step, or how do I make a second step? A mentor is a great way of finding that kind of information out. I guess that leads into a sort of second question. I know that you've been a mainframe mentor for a period of time now. So what have been the sort of common challenges or common themes that you found around mentoring? What's been the common questions? Any common problems? Common asks?
First of all, just for the first thing is making sure that you understand the environment, and that everything you've seen in movies and on television have nothing to do with what we do. If it was, if you are a technical person all around, not just coding, understanding how to work on a team, understanding what it takes to get a job done, responsibility, or if you have those type of traits too, that's what this is mostly about. I remember back in don't date me, but back in the 70s, I used to tell my parents that they couldn't understand what I did. So I just said, it's scientific. Because when I was in high school, they took me out of the calculus class, took 6 of us down a hall, put us in a room with a key punch machine and a CPU. And he said, there's one grade for all 6 of you. And, you know, we were like all A students. It was like, well, okay, so whatever this is, we'll do it. And we learned everything, and we actually accomplished our goal. But I didn't know what I was doing. It was still called data processing. So the biggest thing was understanding the real environment. There's a Hollywood version of our environment, and then there's a real thing in our environment. Being on a team, understanding what has to be done, be willing to go the extra mile, understand that a bad project is not one person, a bad project is your project team. So sometimes we're there all night, and sometimes we play all day. So that's me. So.
And do you get many sort of common questions? Is it JCL? Is it what would be what's kind of like the if you had one question that you think you're always gonna guarantee that a mainframe newbie is going to ask you as a mentor, is it around JCL? Is it around, wow, this is so different? What does that look like for you?
So what I've learned, you know what it is all the things on, well, they got a name for that too. So all the things that are on when you look at the mainframe products, or the things that you have to work with, it's all the things that they haven't worked up a nickname for. So, okay, they got Kix, but Kix ain't they friendly. And they, you know, they took SQL and turned it to SQL. That's the real, when you get into monitoring units of work and things like that, and making it work responsibly, so that the system people, because there are other people that you have to appease, and one of the people with mainframe is the people who actually run the mainframe. The system operators, they can be very, very mean. So, you know, the things they want, you know, JCL, when you first started looking at JCL, I guess it looks really bad. But once it's broken down to you that it's just the same thing, where you're just looking at the program name and the data that's going to come in and the timing, it's like those pipeline things you make. And so there's nothing new on the mainframe that could not be done in your CPUs and your standalone systems, except we have timing and volume and things like that happens. So the words like VSAM is just the beginning, because there's QSAM and other things. There's a lot to all of those things. Then all of that nowadays, which is great, the documentation has now been written by real people. The documentation before was written by engineers who somehow thought we could read their mind. So you would get part of the answer on one book, and then it would have a number there. Then you had to go to another book, and then you had to, you know, so you don't have to do that anymore. Everything's online. This summer we had I had one of my, because I have all the books from when I worked at IBM. I got a lot of stuff to throw out in the basement. But I had my JCL book up here. And then the individual I was mentoring to, he said, well, what's the number on that book? I gave him the book. He looked it up, and he had the online version, and I still have the book here. So I have a lot of books. So, yeah, so that's just anything that's on the mainframe, you ask the question and try to make it, do some of the research yourself so that you just don't drop it there. Show some responsibility and make it a meaningful question. Even though it just said, well, I read this book, I saw this, I saw that, but that didn't even make any sense to me. Fine. You know, and just be committed to what you're doing, and then you will see how easy it is, and then you will see how it mimics, it even mimics in Jupyter Pi, you know, all that.
I think just something in general that we see much more now is where when people ask a question, there seems to be generally much more supportive answers, whereas years ago it used to be a bit more, you should know the answer to this already, or you should have you know, don't come to. There seems to be more of a, hey, we're all helping each other. We're building people up. We're not knocking each other down.
Yeah. I mean, and they'll probably have better personalities because it gave me a shell where before I asked a question, I would look everywhere. I would look everywhere. This is why I submitted that program 60 times. I actually needed time I needed some help with the timestamp. Because of the way we had to break it down all the way down to minutes. To seconds. And I just, 365, 52, 24, and I forgot. Everybody used to know how many minutes it was. Seconds it wasn't in days. Crazy.
I guess.
So the help is there now.
I guess one question would be, in terms of being a mentor, how do you find that yourself? Do you find it challenging, rewarding? How do you find that as a mentor? What would you sum that up as?
That's like I said, we stage of becoming a team. And so in the beginning, it's always challenging because to tune into their personality and they have to tune into mine, and we have to tune into our roles. So in the beginning, it's when you first start, depending on your mentor's expectations, and my expectations are always very high because you're it. We are old. We're moving on. So you're gonna do it, and you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So I have to manage my expectations and be a little more personable, but not do it. At one point this summer, I had written the answer. There was a deliverable, and I had done it, and I was holding back, and I was so thoroughly surprised because not only did my the mentee, and this really he's now no longer, I don't think of him as a mentee. He's now he's a practitioner because he went through everything. He learned how to talk to people on the team, disseminate the information, and apply it where necessary. If you see the first version of the document that he gave me, and I was like, this is not a book. What is this? This is not a book report. Nope, this is not it. This is not it. This is not it. I just kept saying, nope, I'm not going to say anymore, but this is not it. And then I have the second version, can't show it because it gets but what he finally, with the final deliverable, just blew me away. It was just, the quality was there. One reason, because he knew I was going to look at it and go, oh, nope, this isn't working, and we're going to have to sit and work on this. And so I think you have to realize that a mentor is not going to tell you the answer. The mentor is going to show you how to think.
Yes.
That's it. We need to stop, but we have to stop right there and not do any more.
I think sometimes that's a great message in life, is that just asking the right questions at the right time is kind of like the key to understanding where you are, really. Just knowing what to ask when and what to take from the information you're given. One more question I think would be very interesting for people.
Okay.
I know from talking to you already that you've just finished with a 3-month mentor. So my question is, to finish, what was your experiences of that 3 months from when you have gone through it, and how did you find it, and how did it finish?
My experiences was I had to work on my listening skills. I had to I managed my expectations without changing them. I had to be willing to put in the extra time with the mentee and help him think through it. And at the end, that's what I said. He went from being a mentee, a person that I was leading around, to he finally caught on, and he learned how to ask questions to the other are members of the team. I looked on Slack. I saw some very good interchanges with other people. He learned how to disseminate what they were saying and turn it into quality work. So I was very happy at him. But as I said, we had to go through that norming and forming and storming and all of that in order to finally get the product. But I would not change my expectations. And you want a mentor that doesn't treat you like you're a special case and not expect the very best. Look better than some of the things I did.
So I know I said there'd be no more questions, and I've got one more. I also know that you're someone who gave up your time 24/7 almost because of the working with people in other countries. So I'm guessing you must find being a mentor very rewarding.
Yes, I do. There's a couple of people out there that I've mentored. They said they'll let you know I'm not short on words. I'm big on encouraging you, and I'm there for you. I mean, this is a great field for everybody, but we're going to have to treat it responsibly, and we're going to have to not just dump a lot of data in, a lot of unsupervised data. One of my longest conversations, and see what the calculations create, and then say the data did it. We have to be responsible. We are the brain. The computer's not the brain. The computer is the workhorse. So.
Well, Leslie, thank you for your time. And I'm going to just add one last comment here.
Okay.
Thank you again for also offering to pick up any questions if anyone wants to ask anything on the end of the newsletter, that you'll pick them up.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is really helpful, and it helps demystify some of the how to move forward and take the first steps, the second steps, and the role of a mentor. So thank you so much for your time.
Right. Get a t-shirt that says tenacity. You will stick with it until it's right. There's an answer. Good luck.
Thank you.